Good evening and welcome to Courts Today by Live Law. I am Urvashi Chauhan, and in this video we cover major judicial updates from across India, including the Supreme Court's refusal to entertain a plea against Raj Thackeray over alleged hate speech and its upcoming hearing on the restoration of statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. We also look at the controversy surrounding the Banke Bihari Temple Ordinance, a NEET UG candidate's grievance over a wrongly sequenced paper, and shocking allegations of school children being served food licked by a dog in Chhattisgarh. Plus, the Karnataka High Court's directive to decide compassionate appointment applications within 90 days. Make sure to watch till the end and do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. The Supreme Court has declined to entertain a petition seeking an independent probe into an alleged hate speech delivered by Maharashtra Navnirman Sena President Raj Thackeray, which reportedly incited violence against Hindi-speaking employees in Mumbai. A bench comprising Chief Justice of India B.R. Gawai and Justice K. Vinod Chandran heard the matter and directed the petitioner to approach the Bombay High Court instead. This petition was filed under Article 32 by Sunil Shukla, the national president of the Uttar Bharatiya Vikas Sena, a registered political party representing the interests of North Indian residents in Maharashtra. Shukla alleged that during a Guddi Padwa rally, Raj Thackeray delivered a provocative speech aired on ABP Majha, targeting North Indians working in public-facing jobs in Mumbai for speaking Hindi. According to the petition, the speech led to physical assaults on Hindi-speaking employees at multiple locations, including Powai and Warsaw. He also claimed that this was not an isolated incident. He has allegedly received over 100 threatening phone calls, a Twitter threat inciting murder, and a violent attempt to ransack his party office by about 30 alleged MNS workers in October 2024. Despite representation to the Chief Minister, DGP, Police Commissioner and the Election Commission of India, Shukla said that no FIR has been registered in the matter till date. He therefore approached the top court with a prayer for police protection, registration of FIRs and investigation for promoting enmity between groups, derecognition of the MNS by the Election Commission, a court-monitored SIT or independent agency to investigate the incidents, and a direction to restrain Mr. Raj Thackeray from making further provocative statements until the investigation concludes. But the Supreme Court bench today refused to entertain the plea, holding that the petitioner had the remedy of approaching the High Court. CJI Gawai made it clear that this was not the appropriate forum at this stage and advised Shukla to pursue relief before the Bombay High Court. Moving ahead, the Supreme Court will hear on 8th August the application seeking restoration of statehood to Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which was reorganized from statehood to a Union Territory following abrogation of Article 370 in August 2019. The application is filed as a miscellaneous application in the disposed of Article 370 matter, where, if you recall, the Supreme Court had upheld Centre's move to abrogate Jammu and Kashmir's special status under Article 370. Notably, 5th August, that is today, marks the 6th anniversary of the abrogation. While upholding the abrogation in December 2023, the court had not ruled on constitutionality of the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019, which split the former state into two union territories, J&K and Ladakh. Instead, the court recorded an assurance by the Solicitor General that statehood would be restored, but no timeline was set for this restoration. The new application has now been moved by Zahoor Ahmad Bhatt, a college teacher, and Khurshid Ahmad Malik, an activist, who contend that months after the verdict, no steps have been taken by the centre to restore J&K's statehood. They argue that continued delay violates the principle of federalism, which is a basic feature of the constitution. They also submit that with peaceful assembly elections recently held, the grounds of security or instability no longer hold. This matter was today mentioned before Chief Justice of India B.R. Gawai by senior advocate Gopal Shankara Narayan, who urged that the case must not be deleted from the court's cause list for the day on 8th August. Well, the CJI agreed, ensuring that it will be heard on 8th. Coming to an update on the matter regarding Sri Banke Bihari Ji Temple Trust Ordinance 2025, which takes over the management of the historic temple in Vrindavan, Mathura, and has drawn sharp criticism and legal challenges both for its timing and its manner of execution. The state of Uttar Pradesh, through Additional Solicitor General K.M. Nataraj, today defended the the ordinance, telling the bench of Justices Suryakant and Joy Malia Bagchi that the move was aimed solely at ensuring better administration of the temple and managing the massive footfall of devotees estimated at 20,000 to 30,000 on regular days and up to 3 lakh on weekends. He added that the ordinance would soon be tabled in the Legislative Assembly for ratification. Well, this comes after the Supreme Court yesterday made some scathing observations questioning the tearing hurry with which the state promulgated this ordinance. The court had also expressed a serious displeasure over how the UP government secured an earlier Supreme Court order in May this year, allowing it to use temple funds for a corridor project by filing an application in a private civil dispute without hearing the temple management. Today, the state submitted a proposal for interim management of the temple. The court adjourned the hearing till Friday, giving the petitioners time to study the proposal and submit their suggestions. Crucially, the court has asked both sides to suggest names of retired High Court judges who could head a committee to oversee the temple's management till the matter is finally decided. When the state suggested that the committee be headed by a former judge from the Vaishnava sect, Justice Joy Malia Bagchi said that belonging to the same religion is enough, citing the example of Kolkata's Kali Mata temple, where a district judge of the same faith usually oversees administration. In a significant move today, the Supreme Court passed an interim order directing manual re-evaluation of a NEET UG 2025 candidate's answer sheet after he alleged that a paper sequencing error reduced his marks and rank. The petition was heard by a bench of Justices B.V. Nagaratna and K.V. Vishwanathan. According to the candidate, his NEET UG question paper was not arranged in proper sequence. It was supposed to go from question number 1 to 180 in order, but the actual sequence was irregular, starting from question 1 to 27, then skipping to question number 54 to 81, going back to 28 to 53, jumping ahead to question 118 to 151. Then 82 to 117 and finally 152 to 180. This mismatch led to confusion while filling the OMR sheet, which had a standard 1 to 180 serial number order. The candidate even asked invigilators for a replacement, but his request was denied. The additional Solicitor General Archana Pathak Dave, appearing for the National Testing Agency, admitted that this was a rare case and such instances don't usually happen. When Justice Vishwanathan questioned as to why are the papers given to people who cannot even read, ASG Dave explained that literate individuals might memorize and leak questions. She also stated that this issue has only appeared in 9 cases out of 25 lakh candidates, and 8 of those were already dismissed by the Rajasthan High Court. But the bench remained firm on the need for justice even if rare. The court has now directed that the candidate's answer sheet must be evaluated manually. The manual evaluation report must be submitted to the court and the exercise must be completed within 1 week. Serving midday meals in schools is meant to nourish students, not endanger their lives. But in a shocking case from Chhattisgarh's Baloda Bazar district, students at a government middle school were allegedly served food that had been licked by a dog, triggering serious concerns about hygiene, negligence, and student safety. The Chhattisgarh High Court has now taken suo motu cognizance of the incident and pulled up both the school authorities and the self-help group responsible for meal distribution. A bench of Chief Justice Ramesh Sinha and Justice Vibhu Datta Guru took note of a Hindi news report published on 3rd August, which alleged that contaminated food was served to children. As per this report, students informed their parents, leading to a school committee meeting, after which 83 students were administered 2 doses of anti-rabies vaccine. A second news report cited by the court claimed 84 students consumed the food, but only 78 were given the first dose of the vaccine. The court said that with this, the lives of the students were put in danger. Once a person is infected with rabies, there is no cure. The court called it gross negligence and held both the teachers and the self-help group liable. It referred to published photographs that showed open cooking utensils left exposed outdoors, vulnerable to stray animals like dogs, pigs, and rodents. It questioned how even after teachers were informed that the food had been licked by a dog, no steps were taken to discard it, and students were allowed to consume the meal. The High Court has now directed the Secretary of School Education Department to file a detailed affidavit before the court. The affidavit must include whether all affected students were given anti-rabies vaccines, what disciplinary action has been taken against the self-help group and school teachers, whether any compensation has been given to the students, and what precautionary measures are being planned to avoid similar incidents in the future. With this, the matter has now been listed for hearing on 19th August. This incident raises urgent questions about the quality of school infrastructure and the accountability of those trusted with children's welfare. As the court rightly observed, when public funds are being spent, ensuring dignity, safety and hygiene is non-negotiable. Though compassionate appointments are meant to bring relief and not become another bureaucratic struggle, but delays in such cases continue to deprive bereaved families of their rightful support. In a significant judgment, the Karnataka High Court has now stepped in, ordering the state to decide all applications for compassionate appointments within 90 days. The order was passed by a division bench of Justice Mohammad Nawaz and Justice K.S. Hemalekha. This was in a case where a widow applied for a job for one of her sons after the death of her husband, who was a government servant. However, due to prolonged delay and administrative apathy, the relief was never granted. Even after the State Administrative Tribunal allowed the request, the state approached the High Court claiming that the claim was time-barred. But unconvinced, the High Court made it clear when a timely application is made, especially by someone illiterate or grieving, authorities must act strictly, transparently and assertively. To ensure that no such injustice is repeated in the future, the High Court laid down clear guidelines. So within 30 days of receiving a request, the authority must acknowledge it in writing, clarify if it's complete or defective, notify all eligible dependents about their rights, and mention the applicable limitation period. If the applicant is illiterate or a widow, officials must take proactive steps to help with proper filing and guidance. All applications must be decided within 90 days from the date of receipt. If rejected, a reasoned order must be issued immediately, and a uniform SOP and training of officials must be developed to ensure procedural fairness. The court further directed the state government to issue necessary instructions to all heads of departments and to provide the job to the petitioner's son within 8 weeks. Well, the order serves as a reminder that delays in compassionate appointments are not just bureaucratic lapses. They affect lives of those in crisis.